is up, Nerds Nation? Welcome to the Effin' Nerds podcast with the most dynamic duo in all of podcasting. I'm Nick Denizio, and sitting across from me is my dude, Martin Moreno.
What is up, bro?
How we doing?
Excited.
So we are recapping The Mandalorian Chapter 13, The Jedi. But before we get started, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else, please check back each week as we try to upload new content for you guys to listen to. So Chapter 13, The Jedi, finds the Mandalorian traveling to a world ruled by a ruthless magistrate who has made a powerful enemy. So I think we had this episode marked on like our calendars as the one we were kind of waiting for ever since we got the name drop Ahsoka. And I think we always assumed that whatever episode Dave Filoni was doing was going to be the episode that she came in. So naturally, this was like the one. And like, I don't know for you, Martin, but like Friday, like as soon as I woke up, I'm like, I got to put this on.
I am with you. I remember going to bed Thursday night and I couldn't wait to wake up and watch the episode. I'm like, tomorrow. I'm so pumped. I was like a little kid on Christmas, like running to the Christmas tree in the morning.
Hey guys, wake up, it's Christmas! Oh, Dad, it's Christmas! What?
But obviously we woke up, watched it, and on the floor.
Yeah.
On the floor.
And for this episode too, it was like, you know, there hasn't been a whole lot of, I guess, things for Star Wars fans to be really hyped about. The Mandalorian kind of feels like it's like that lone, you know, property in Star Wars that's really the only like shining light as of this point, because obviously the sequels didn't pan out for a lot of people. Rise of Skywalker was a massive disappointment for a lot of fans, including us. And I feel like that also puts a lot of pressure on the Mandalorian because like we feel like it has to deliver on every episode. So that's when we get something like Chapter 10 where it's not really a whole lot going on. It feels like a letdown. You know what I mean?
It does, but in a way, like you said, they're single-handedly, like I think we'll get into it a little bit later, but they've done a lot in regards to pretty much getting cheering the fan base up.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's still a lot of people out there who don't like The Mandalorian. I've seen a lot of people complain against it, and talk about how it's very cookie cutter and how the characters aren't interesting and whatever. That's fine. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I think they're wrong. I think this show is absolutely incredible. And yes, when you think of the sequels, like you said, aside from Rogue One, the sort of spin-off films, like I personally hated Solo. I feel like
your hate for that grows more and more as the years go by.
I hated The Rise of Skywalker. Last Jedi, you know, it was okay, but Disney made a huge mistake, and I think we'll get into it a little bit later.
Definitely.
I don't want to get into it now.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, I think Mandalorian is doing a really great job of essentially like I kind of think of like I think of this great meme that I saw a long time ago, and it was like Star Wars fans complaining. It's like The Mandalorian, hold my beer.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, and I think they're doing a really good job over there, the people in charge.
Definitely. And not to keep going too off topic here, but I would also agree with you on Rogue One. I feel like the more times I watch it, the better it gets.
And I'm 100% with you.
Yeah.
When I first saw it, that second act I thought lagged, but I feel like every time I watch it, the second act gets better and better. And I've said a gazillion times, the third act of Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie of all time.
By far. All right, so let's get into Chapter 13 here. So we're going to start with our cold open here. So we find ourselves on the planet Corvus as Ahsoka Tano is chopping down armed forces one by one as the evil magistrate named Morgan Elsbeth and her hired gun Lang watch from behind the walls of a city that's under their control. Ahsoka is seeking information that Elsbeth will not give to her. She gives the magistrate one day to surrender or face the consequences. So I saw some people kind of talking about this, how we probably weren't going to get Ahsoka until like halfway through the episode, or possibly like not all the way to the very end, but like just right off the bat, those lightsabers come out and it's just like, holy shit.
Yes, we see her guards essentially shooting at something. We don't really know what it is. I was one of those people who I didn't think she was going to come in until like towards the end.
Right.
I thought it was going to be like, I thought her I guess entrance or appearance was going to be a sort of like cliffhanger for the next episode. That's what I kind of thought.
Right.
But that was not the case.
Nope, not at all.
We get her right off the bat. We see these guards kind of walking away and shooting at something.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, are we getting her like now? Are they shooting at Ahsoka? And long and behold, we see the two white sabers come into frame. Slashes, like she cuts down the one guard and immediately goes into her traditional Ahsoka pose.
Yep.
And I just fell to the floor. And
I
lost my mind.
And it was awesome too, because this is the first time we've actually seen, well, not only Ahsoka, this is her live action debut, but it's also the first time we've seen a white lightsaber in live action.
Which
is awesome. And that was the other thing too, man. Like this felt to me like the most Star Wars, because I feel like when you think of Star Wars, you think of lightsabers.
Don't even think about it. Just name it. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Lightsaber?
Remember when we did Star Wars?
It's like when you say Star Wars to me, I'm saying lightsabers back. You know what I mean? It just feels like that's just such a part of the franchise. So to see them kind of make the return for the first time, The Mandalorian, was just awesome.
And every single movie has to sneak the lightsaber in there. Even Solo, we get the with Maul.
Yes,
we get it in the. It's a second, but
right.
like, we still gotta sneak it in there.
A little
we still
bit,
gotta
a little
get
bit.
the lightsaber flavor in there. But yeah, this to me felt very Star Wars. That was one of the sort of main reasons for it. The fact that we got this awesome heavy lightsaber action throughout the episode, but we get it very early on. Not just that. I'm talking fast. All right. Slow down, Martin. Slow down.
You need to relax.
Well, this was an exciting episode.
It was exciting. Okay, but not just this insane lightsaber action, but we also get Force.
Yeah.
We get some Force. We get Ahsoka wielding the Force right off the bat.
That's the best too, when she's just like throwing chunks of like the tree
trees
of people,
that
she cuts down.
You know, like when Vader, when he puts the guy up on the ceiling,
Yes,
he cuts
yes,
him down. It's
yes.
like, hey, like I'm using everything. It's like, oh, this tree is still there. Let me go ahead and fucking throw it at your face. But that the way because for the people who don't know, Ahsoka was obviously around during the Clone Wars. She was Anakin's Padawan. Mm-hmm. The amount that she's learned from Anakin and Obi-Wan in terms of like a military background, like it was very evident very early on. Like the way she strategically picked off these people one by one.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a credit to her background of being a soldier during the Clone Wars, and the way that it was just done so well. It was just so beautifully and so awesomely. Is that a word?
Awesomely. Well, dude,
Well,
awesomely.
it's a word now.
Absolutely.
It's a word.
Awesomely.
It was so awesomely done. The way she was like kind of coming out of the fog and using like we were joking around that she was trained by Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
She was using
the shadows.
Yeah, she was using her surroundings.
Yes,
she managed to use her surroundings, and yeah, there was this really great shot of almost like the Magistrate point of view. And all you see in the shadows is the lights,
yes,
like the lightsaber.
Yeah,
and it was just like that cold opening was awesome. I did have some gripes with it though, which I'll bounce back to you.
All right,
yeah.
So, this is when we're kind of introduced to the Magistrate and the character of Lang. So the Magistrate is played by Diana Lee Inosanto, who is actually the godchild of Bruce Lee, and she herself is a very famous stunt coordinator. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm probably going to reference this a lot throughout the episode, but Dave Filoni and Rosario Dawson did an interview with Vanity Fair, and they went into like all the basically the aspects of it, the history of casting Rosario Dawson, the episode itself. It was really great read. I suggest you guys go check it out. But basically what he said for casting the Magistrate was, he said, I needed a performer for the Magistrate to challenge Ahsoka and be someone that could go toe-to-toe with her instantly. Mm-hmm. And I think you definitely get that, not only in like the physical aspects that she has throughout the episode, but just her presence. Like, she looks tough.
Yeah, because like in a way she's kind of cocky.
Yes.
Like when she first comes on, she's got this kind of like shit-eating grin.
Yeah.
And it just kind of shows her how she's not intimidated.
Yeah, no,
like,
because I love when she's like, show yourself.
Yeah, she's like, I ain't scared.
Yeah.
Like I ain't scared. He comes out with her spear staff, which we'll get into.
Oh yeah.
But one of the issues that I did have, again, as awesome as we got, as awesome as this cold opening was very early on, there were some kind of issues early on that kind of just do reflect Filoni still kind of growing as a live action director. Mm-hmm. Someone like the line delivery very early on was very like wooden.
And it's weird too, because I feel like it's only that part, I think, is the only part I had an issue with in terms of like line delivery.
I think that part, and then when Mando first comes into town, it's kind of like was a little I had a slight issue with it. But then from like then on, from when he goes and finds Ahsoka, from then on I thought it was done really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of it, I think that's obviously, like I said, Filoni's still growing as a director. He's still working out his he's still getting his directing dick wet.
Exactly.
I like to say. But yeah, aside from those kind of like issues and slight moments throughout where you can feel like where you can feel the action.
Yes.
Like you can. There were moments where I could tell that people were like in a pose, ready to go. Like the action was like a little bit staged.
Yeah.
But it was like those few gripes that I kind of had issues with. One of which we get very early on. But aside from that, I thought just the way we kind of get introduced to her very early on was just awesome.
Yeah, it was definitely awesome. And then obviously we have the great Michael Biehn playing Lang, and First of all, it's just awesome to see Michael Biehn again because, like, you know, so many movies that we grew up with, he was in. And he's still a part of movies that we still love, you know, between Terminator and Alien. Yeah, just watch The Rock, you know. So it was awesome to see him in this. And Filoni also talked about casting Michael Biehn and how he has a good knowledge because he was in a lot of, like, different Westerns, one of them being Tombstone. So what was really cool about it was he said that Michael Biehn came into the role, and if you think about the character of Lang, it's like a nothing kind of character. You know what I mean? There's not a lot to him.
It's like a bodyguard.
It's like a bodyguard, but he said that Michael Biehn had this whole philosophy of how this gunslinger would attempt to go up against someone like Mando. So they basically interwove that into his character. So Michael Biehn kind of came in and took this nothing character and kind of shaped it and tailored it to him, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess we'll get into it once we get there.
Yeah.
But there was also some issues with his line delivery, but
I think a little bit.
I think that's just I think that's just a lot of that as credit to and I don't mean to be an asshole, but just Bihn's recreational activities.
Yes, I would say so too.
I think it's a little bit of after effects that have lingered around, but it was still great to see.
It was still great to see him. One of the things I noticed too is I think some of his lines were also redone. Like I feel like I heard some ADR work and it didn't quite, like, some lines he said were really clear and other lines I was like, this feels like it was on set and this feels like it was done in the studio.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Because my guy it looked like sometimes for some line delivery he was just like
struggling a little.
Yeah, like his cheeks were frozen. You know. But we love Michael Biehn. I'm glad he's doing better. It was so much fun to see him.
Yeah,
really
definitely. All right, so let's actually jump into Act 1 here. So Mando and Baby Yoda arrive on Corvus and head to the fortress, hoping to find information on Ahsoka Tano. What they do find is a town in ruin and its people enslaved by the Magistrate. She ends up hiring Mando to go kill Ahsoka in exchange for a spear made of pure Beskar. Mando says he will go look for Ahsoka. What's the line he says?
Where can I find her?
Where can I find her? Yeah. So he doesn't agree to kill her. He's like, I'm gonna go find her.
And you know, you heard, if you listen closely, you can hear a ding. That was Mando's boner hitting his Beskar when he saw that staff. Because you know Mandalorians are, you know, like weapons are part of their religion.
Yes.
Mandalorians love they love their weapons.
Yes, they love their weapons. So as he and Baby Yoda kind of set off into the burnt forest of Corvus, Mando is then surprise attacked by Ahsoka, but she immediately stops in her tracks when Mando name drops Bo-Katan and that he wants to talk. She then notices Baby Yoda and accepts to talk and see what he's got to say, because I love as soon as she sees him, she's like, I hope you know, we're gonna talk about him.
She knows something and we know that she knows something, and we're just like
Exactly. So let's jump back a little bit. So like Mando and Baby Yoda arrive, and they basically go into like this town looking for information, and you know, rolls up to the gate like Monty Python style.
I'm French. Why do you think I have this outrageous accent, you silly king?
So, but he goes in and then he kind of sees all these different people and how, you know, he doesn't know what he's walking into basically.
Right.
You know, he's basically like, oh fuck, like all these people.
He's just
like,
going to get some information.
Yes, exactly. And I do love how once he actually, like, you know, he gets basically summoned by the Magistrate, and when he walks in, you really see like where she's living compared to like the rest of basically the planet, and how it's a nice parallel to like greed and shit, because like, you know, you walk in and there's all green and it's you know ponds and shit, and everything else is just
spiritual.
Yeah, very peaceful, spiritual. Yeah,
Japanese-ish.
Yes, and everything else is just like, you know, decrepit and broken down and shit.
Right, and that's kind of like where I was saying too before. I thought some of the exchanges between some of the very early exchanges between Mando and the Magistrate, like just like a few lines, and when they first meet. Some of his exchanges between like the vendor and like the townspeople, and the way like the HK droids kind of pull up behind him,
right?
And they're like, "Hey, she wants to see you." I thought like again, that's where I had some of the issues with dialogue, and I did get a little worried at first. I'm like, "Oh God, I hope," because it was very early on,
right?
I'm like, "Oh my God, I don't want people."
Like I hope this isn't setting the tone,
right?
You know,
yeah. But like I said, that kind of fixed itself, I think, very quickly. Like once we get pretty good into this short short conversation between the Magistrate and Mando. I thought like all those issues in terms of like some stiff dialogue for the most part was fixed, was better throughout the episode. But yeah, I love, like you said, it's a very like pretty much like what you said. It's a huge contrast in regards to like the entire planet up to that point,
right?
Because we get some green.
We get some
greenery at some point, which I'm going to talk about. But up to that point, it was a stark contrast and difference in regards to the rest of the planet and everything we've seen up to that point. Also, something that I know you're crazy about was the color palette.
Yes.
Yeah, which was a very smoky gray vignette.
Very, very Zack Snyder-esque.
Very Zack Snyder. I was
Yeah.
watching this episode, and because I wasn't with Nick when I saw it, and I'm just thinking to myself like, this guy's probably gonna fucking go crazy for this fucking color palette. But yeah, very desaturated, very gray. So we didn't really see that much color.
Yeah.
You know, and so seeing that definitely was like a bit of like an eye popper. Seeing like the trees and like even the water's not colorful, but it does add this like kind of like in a way spiritual element to
like tranquility and all that kind of shit.
Exactly.
All right, so Mando obviously somewhat accepts the magistrate's task to go and look for Ahsoka, so he kind of sets off into the forest, and this is kind of where I really got like that Zack Snyder feel, because when he's walking through the forest and all these burnt trees are down, for whatever reason I thought of 300. Like I was thinking like that, like just seeing like all like the as like the forces kind of have gone through and just ripped this planet apart.
Right.
I kind of got that feeling for it, but the first thing that I noticed was as he's kind of like really getting deep into this forest, you see an owl. And we've kind of discussed this because I had I haven't watched all of Clone Wars yet. I literally just started watching it. But the owl kind of plays a big role with Ahsoka. So what's like the owl?
The owl is named Morai, and it's a carnivore, and it has spiritual ties to Ahsoka. So there's many times whenever we see the owl, we're kind of essentially, it's being hinted that Ahsoka's nearby.
Right.
We've seen it many times in... I mean, I don't want to spoil it for you, but we get a really great moment with Morai at the end of Clone Wars. That's season 7. We get at the very end, we got a great moment with that. There's a moment in season 2 when Ezra's trying to connect with the because Ezra also loves his animals.
Yeah.
Like Lothal has like a really what's the word for like an animal population, I guess?
Oh yeah.
It has like a very unique animal population. It's got loth bats, got loth cats, loth wolves. It has the spiders that we saw in episode 2,
which is awesome. I didn't know that they were actually in like, cartoon form.
So
which is great.
There's a great moment when Ezra's trying to connect with the spider, because obviously he loves the animals, and then like he fails. The spider's like, "Fuck you." So it's like whatever. So he like kind of like leans back and he looks up, and we see Morai flying. And right as we see it, we kind of get like Ahsoka come into frame, and it's like a really nice shot, really nice moment. But yeah, the second I saw Morai there on the tree, I'm like, ah!
Here I come. Oh, here I come.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, she's coming. She's coming.
And that's actually a really good indicator, because literally shortly after we see the owl, like Ahsoka just kind of comes out of nowhere and starts attacking Mando. And one of the things I didn't notice is that Beskar is basically lightsaber proof.
Yes.
Which is awesome. So I'm like, all right, so he can kind of stand toe to toe with her a little bit. And that's like one of the things that you were saying before with the opening about how, we don't just get the lightsabers, but we get her like using the force powers, like Vader in Rogue One. It's like we get like everything, and that's the thing that I think they've always done well with the show, is like with Mando, it's like they don't shy away from using all the things that he has,
all his traits,
all of his weapons,
all the skills,
exactly. So it's like immediately as soon as she attacks him, he goes for the flamethrower, gives the little back grapple around her, you know what I mean? Just all this different stuff.
It's almost like instinctive for him.
Yes, exactly.
Like the second he gets attacked, he just has to fight back, and he just realizes like he takes that moment where it's like, oh shit, no, like I'm not.
I'm not gonna fight you.
Yeah, I don't want to fight you. I don't want to fight you.
Yeah, because he obviously name drops Bo-Katan, and then that's when we get like, she sees, little baby Yoda, and she's like, oh, I know exactly what's going on here.
And at that moment, like my heart just started exploding.
Yeah.
Ahsoka sees him, and we know, at least like the people who are familiar with like Rebels and Clone Wars, know that that Ahsoka has a familiarity with Yoda, that she knew him.
Right.
So, and I think that's something that the show did really good. For the people who haven't seen Clone Wars or Rebels, I think they did a really good job introducing her.
Yes.
And getting her familiar with the general audience that weren't that didn't have the knowledge of like I said, those 2 other episodes.
Right.
Those 2 other shows. I'm sorry. And as like for us, for the people who have seen it, who do know her sort of history and her backstory, it does make it that little bit more exciting. Right. But you don't necessarily need to watch it in order to like the character, I guess.
Yeah, I would say so. It's kind of the same thing with when we first got Bo-Katan. Like it's the same exact thing. Like we knew, like if like I've only seen a few episodes with her in it, like Clone Wars wise, and don't know anything about her, but I thought they did a good job. Like I know who she is, what she wants, and like, what her motivation is,
and what if a badass she is.
Exactly. And I think it's the same thing here, which I think we'll definitely get into Rosario Dawson's performance. But so this is kind of going into Act 2 now. This is where we really get like a lot of juicy like information. So Ahsoka and Baby Yoda have this conversation through the Force as Mando is pacing back and forth, which I absolutely love.
Like a concerned dad.
It's like a nervous dad. Yeah. Ahsoka then tells Mando everything she learned, including Baby Yoda's real name, Grogu, and that he was training on Coruscant when someone smuggled him out after the Empire rose to power. Ahsoka then tests Grogu's Force ability, but refuses to train him when she realizes the bond between Grogu and Mando is too strong, making Grogu vulnerable to his fears. Mando tells Ahsoka the deal he has with the Magistrate and says he will assist Ahsoka in helping her defeat them in exchange for training Grogu. This is also when like Ahsoka gives information on the Magistrate, you know, basically saying what her actual name is and that she was one of like kind of the main players in building the Imperial fleet, which I thought was really interesting. Right. And also too, she has a tragic backstory that I guess she lost her family during the Clone Wars, and that's kind of so she's almost made like a villain because of the wars.
Which is interesting because like you would imagine that she would rebel against the Empire,
right?
Unless her family was lost to like Jedi or whatever.
Which I'm thinking maybe she blames the clones for it, you know?
Right, and that could be a thing too because we know that again for the people who aren't familiar with Ahsoka's backstory, she also kind of has a bit of a gripe with the I guess the Council. She doesn't really see eye to eye on a lot of the things that they see eye to eye on.
Right.
So yeah, Ahsoka is not a Jedi. She was that's probably something we should have said early on.
Yeah.
She left the Jedi Council, and I probably should have said spoiler. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not spoiling anything because I'm actually going to be more weird of the things I say, or at least say spoiler alert, because I know personally, and you do too, that some of like people that we know and some of like my friends are now actually starting to go back and revisit Clone Wars and are starting to watch Rebels. And I think that speaks volumes to what The Mandalorian is doing as a show. Which is something that we'll get a little bit more into. But yeah, spoiler alert. I'm sorry. Ahsoka does leave the Jedi Order, so she is essentially not a Jedi anymore. But
which is why she has the white lightsabers.
Isn't
that right? That's kind of why.
It's like almost like a neutral.
Yeah,
it's almost like a neutral thing. But yeah, she kind of just follows her own path and what she thinks is right. That could be a situation with you know, Morgan Elspeth.
Yeah.
You know, she could probably just think like, look, war killed my family, so I'm going to do, you know, whatever I can to either be on the winning side,
right,
and not like, you know, not go through something like this again. Right. And if that means helping out the Empire, then yeah. Because I don't know who the character is. I don't know if she has. I
don't think she has. Like, I think she's a new character.
Well, that's cool. But yes, we get the information on who she is, and then we get that moment of just her trying to train Grogu, not Baby Yoda,
I know, Grogu,
who is at the table. The latest addition to the table is little Grogu himself, all adorable and shit. But yeah, just again, like I was saying, my heart was like, I was just so happy, and it was just so much to love.
Yes.
From like in this entire kind of like second act, just the interactions between Ahsoka and Grogu, like you said, the way Mando is kind of being like a very concerned dad, and not just that, but like kind of like rooting for him. Like when you're a kid, when you're a dad, I mean, obviously I wouldn't know, but because I never met my father, but I can imagine that most dads want their kids to be good at sports. Yeah. So it's like Dom Mazzetti said,
a pump is giving birth to a son, and knowing he's gonna be good at sports.
But so you're like, come on, like throw it, like come on, like I know you can do it. I know you can do it. But obviously she's like, no, come over here, like you try it. And something that has been so well done throughout the entire series is just the way the actors or the stuntmen, whoever are behind the Mandalorian costume, have emoted emotion, or have like you can read their emotion,
their body through their body language, and everything.
Right. And I thought it was like really well done here, like you said, the way he was pacing, the way he kind of like he does like the head nod,
the little head nod.
Like, come on, man, come on,
you do it.
You can do it. The way he kind of like squats down to get more like a little bit more intimate, to get like on kind of like eye level, right, with Grogu when he's like trying to help him out in taking the ball.
From the ship.
Right. So I just thought so much of that scene was just so well done.
I would definitely agree. And then obviously like this whole second act is kind of like one big exposition dump, but it's done in such a really good way because it's something that we've been wanting to know for the longest time. Like, who is Grogu? What's like all this stuff going on? We have all these questions about him, and it's funny because when you start answering these questions, we get even more questions, which is what I love, because you can't
so many questions,
but it's like you can't answer everything because you need to leave mystery for like the story to just keep progressing forward. But it is cool that we do learn that he was a youngling training on Coruscant, and he had many different masters that trained him, which like we can kind of guess who, you know.
Yeah, I have like the $12 in my bank account. I'm going to bet them all that Mace Windu
was one of them. Yeah,
it's definitely one of them for sure. I wholeheartedly think that. But yeah, it's like, how did he get there?
Right.
You know, we were speculating, is it Yaddle's baby?
Right.
Like we don't really know much of these species aside from Yaddle and Yoda. And the big question, like, who smuggled him out?
Yes.
You know, like, and did they smuggle him out of like the like, was he actually in the Jedi Temple? Because I have a thing. I have a theory.
You have a theory. What is your theory?
Okay. Not well. I don't know necessarily like a theory, but like a possible scene that I kind of have in my head. What if we have a flashback moment to, like, you know, when Order 66 is going on, when the clones are going crazy, when the Jedi Temple is being attacked, and we see little Grogu there, and the Jedi Temple is scared.
Yeah.
Someone picks him up. We don't know who, but someone picks him up, and in the background, we see a certain somebody named Anakin Skywalker just mowing people the fuck down. God. If we get that moment, I'm going to lose my mind. I've also I always am going to keep my expectations tempered, because I was swinging for the fences in season 1. I'm like, what if, like, when the doors open for Mando?
Oh yeah, it's Yoda.
It's Yoda.
Yeah,
it's
right,
Yoda
right.
there, like, Lee gives him the hand, like come, like, you know, like how whatever. And then when he actually goes up, we see like Kenobi in the background, like fighting with the fucking droids. Right. And that's where the attachment to Baby Yoda comes from. It's like, oh, I know the species. This is the one that saved me. Right. But in a way, it's kind of the same thing. Like, I was foundling, and now he's a foundling. Yeah. So, you know, I got a little ahead of myself, but why not? It's fun. It's fun to speculate. But what if we get that moment? Bro? Yes. What if we get that moment?
That would be insane, and I think that's kind of what this series is building towards, because, like, man, the last like couple episodes have really just like blown the doors open for like the Mandalorian in terms of like the world that it's in, because like the first season, even though like it deals with a lot, like it still feels like it's very condensed and like kind of in its own little bubble. Mm-hmm. But like between the Bo-Katan episode and then this episode, it's like the world just fucking, you know,
yeah, because like
we're in the universe
right,
now. You know,
Bo-Katan definitely connected it back to Clone Wars and Rebels, right? And I feel like this is now connecting it back to the prequels. Yes. So I know that could upset some people. I understand, because I mean, me personally too. I said there's so many characters in Star Wars. Why are we going back to the ones that we already know? Yeah. But if it's done right, then like,
who cares? Yeah, who cares? You know what I mean? It's done right, and that's the thing, man. It just has to be done right.
Like, we are being introduced to new characters, like, as we go along. Mm-hmm. So if it's executed properly and they have a good story, then why not? But that is a huge question that I'm going to have for a while. Like, who? Like I said, I think Mace Windu definitely trained him. I wonder who else. And the big question, like, who smuggled him out? Yeah, that's like obviously going to be like a big question that I'm looking forward to the reveal.
Definitely. And I also just love too when she actually tells Mando, like, I knew a being like this, you know, his name was Yoda, and we get like those few little bit of like strings of John Williams in there. Yeah. And like, it's like moments like that, they're just so well done. And like, even though I don't know, you know, the whole story for Clone Wars and Rebels, and I don't know exactly who Ahsoka is, like when she just drops Yoda and we hear that music, like, you just feel like I felt the history of Star Wars in that moment. You know what I mean? Which is like, and I love moments like that they do in The Mandalorian.
And that's what I'm saying. I think they do a really good job of like paying service to like the fans and ones who know, and also to the general audience, because like I said, when you see Baby Grogu, automatically you're like, oh my god, like, she knows who it is because she knows Yoda, blah blah. But for the people who don't know, in that little line alone, we are like automatically like told, like, oh yeah, she knew fucking Master Yoda. Right. So it's like that. So like, we can't stress this enough. The people involved are doing it right. Yeah. Like, they're doing enough to significantly please the fans and the people who know the backstories and source material, but also not playing too inside baseball to where like the general audience is going to be confused.
Is going to be lost.
Right. And the general audience like can appreciate the characters in their own way.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. You know, and then we also get that other great line where she's refusing to train Grogu, and Mando's like, why? And he's like,
his attachment to you makes him vulnerable to his fears. His anger.
All the more reason to train him.
No. I've seen what such feelings can do to a fully trained Jedi Knight. To the best of us.
Because, Nicholas, a Jedi should never act out of emotion. Right. So if you think about it, if Grogu gets separated from Mando because he formed a strong bond, right, or if he gets like emotional, gets all worked up, it could cause some red flags.
Oh yeah, it could very cause some red flags.
And like you said, Ahsoka saw it too. She knows like it happened to the best of us. Obviously, like I said, spoiler alert, I'm sorry, but Anakin was her master, right, and she eventually, I'm not gonna say, I guess I already said it, but for the people watching Rebels and Clone Wars, I guess you'll get it. But she eventually does find out, and when we do get that reveal of her finding out what happened to Anakin, it's heartbreaking.
It is.
It's very emotional, and there are a lot of moments in Rebels and Clone Wars that are very powerful because of their connection. So yeah, you know that I can imagine that she's still probably not over it.
Yeah.
You know, just given how strong the connection was, she probably still is a little kind of like shaky in that sense.
Yeah, I would say so too. You know, and actually now that we're kind of talking about that, let's discuss Rosario Dawson's performance here, because you know we were saying how a lot of people that might not know the character, they did a good job of kind of introducing it to the general audience, and I think. You know, the little that I do know of Ahsoka, I think Rosario does a really fantastic job here, because like Ahsoka really is like a badass, like in a lot of the things that I've seen her doing, like her fighting and everything like that. But she also has like this warmth and this compassionate side, and I think you really see that in this episode with the moments where she's really interacting with Grogu. Like I love like her smiles and like the nods back and forth between them, and it's just like, to me it's like perfect. And the thing too is that you know, I saw a couple people, you know, saying how like her performance, you know, was a little hit or miss in capturing the essence of Ahsoka. But like, I think you also have to remember, like, when we're meeting Ahsoka at this point in time, like she's seen some shit. You know, she's been through a lot of shit.
So she's been through some like serious heartbreak. Right.
So she's really like world weary at this point that we're kind of meeting her. So I thought she did a great job capturing that.
Absolutely. And it's also like and like we said, for the people who don't know her backstory, right off the bat, you know that, you know, she's a badass, and that, again, that goes a lot into her, like we said, her military background.
Right.
So yeah, I thought Rosario Dawson did an amazing job, and even like Ahsoka in a way, it's like a little bit of like, it's a little cocky.
You're lucky Anakin didn't show up. The way you're fighting, you wouldn't have lasted long.
Oh, you have Kenobi's arrogance.
You'll find I have many qualities for you to dislike.
Kind of like arrogant or cocky, and there were those moments here too. So I think Rosario Dawson did a really good job of capturing like her traits, her traditional traits, but also bringing something a little bit new to it.
Yeah.
And yes, I do know that the voice, obviously, I love Ashley Eckstein.
Yeah.
I do. I've loved Ahsoka since I first came across, since I first, like, I guess, discovered her. She's one of my top 5 favorite Star Wars characters.
Nice.
And I think a lot of it has to do with like the life that Ashley Eckstein brought to this character. So, and it was nice to see Rosario Dawson almost like pay her respects.
Yeah.
I know that she like shared one of her posts.
Yep.
And Ashley Eckstein also like posted something really great talking about what the character means to her. So, so yeah, I think just Rosario Dawson did a really great job of bringing this character that Ashley Eckstein essentially brought to life. Rosario Dawson did a great job bringing it to like actual life.
Yes.
Like actual life action.
Right. Yeah.
So I think, wholeheartedly agree. I thought she did an amazing job. I mean, she brought an amazing physicality to it.
Right.
That is like essential to Ahsoka.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing too, is because like, you know, with, you know, I think people forget too that with animation you can get away with so much more. You can have like this really like immense amount of freedom in animation to do whatever the hell you want, and it works for Star Wars because, you know, Jedis have this ability to, you know, like their leaping skills and just all this different stuff that they can do. So you always worry a little bit like in live action, especially on like a TV show, because I think people forget that this is still a TV show. It's not a movie. It's a television show. Even though it's an expensive television show, it's still a television show.
I mean, I don't think it's Game of Thrones numbers.
No, it's not Game of Thrones numbers, but it's still pretty high. It's still pretty high budget, but you have limitations. But you know, for this, I thought they did a really fantastic job, like showing her abilities and the physicality of it all.
Right. Yeah, and something else too was that I was very worried because it wasn't really confirmed, but like all the sites were like running with it. They're like, oh, Ahsoka's going to be in it. Or,
right.
So we kind of like assumed, and we just kind of figured that she was going to be in it. And I was very worried early on of like how is it going to look? How is the makeup going to look? How is the prosthetics going to look? And I thought right off the bat, I thought she looked incredible. I thought the makeup was done really well. I thought the makeup and costume department did an incredible job. And it's a nice contrast to, like we were saying, this dead planet. Everything about it is like dead, it's gray, it's very saturated. And like her orange skin like really stands out.
Yeah.
It does create like a really nice contrast in regards to like a visual aesthetic. And her lekus.
I was gonna say, is that the proper terminology for that?
Well, the horns are mothballs, and the things are lekus. Yeah. Well, they have the horns, which are the mothballs, and then the sort of tails are the lekus. And supposedly they get longer as Togrutas, as they get older, they get longer. And it made sense because in Rebels they're pretty long.
Right.
And obviously in Clone Wars she's young. Rebels she's a lot older. That's like almost 18 years afterwards.
Right.
So that makes sense, but I just imagine that was probably like in terms of like in terms of like her movement,
yes,
it was probably better. It probably
I think that was why, because I did see some people complaining like, oh, her, like they should be longer, and I was like, it might be more of a practicality kind of thing, especially like her fighting and things like that. Like maybe it was one of those things like we can't have these things too long because then they'll just be like all over the place.
Yeah, and that's tough. Like, or it could like be too heavy. It can come off.
Right.
Who knows? But I think the way it translated it to live action, I thought was really well done. Now there's something that I want to say, but do you want to say anything?
I actually do. I want to say one more thing, just bouncing off of that. So, going back to that Vanity Fair article, Dave Filoni said that when they actually cast Rosario way back in season 1. So they've had her on board for a while now, and they did a ton of different. So they got her in the makeup, and they did a ton of screen tests in front of the volume to figure out. And if you guys you don't know, the volume is this really super cool, revolutionary, super cool, like 360 screen that they basically filmed The Mandalorian in. So instead of doing a green screen, it's basically this massive LED screen that they can project the backgrounds on.
Which is like, we've said it for a long time. That's fucking groundbreaking.
It's groundbreaking.
That is going to change the game.
Batman's been using it. Jurassic World Dominion's been using it. Yeah. So,
and it just like you're talking about like the way it cuts time, it cuts down on production. Like,
and it looks better too. Like you don't have to worry about green screen.
Everything's realistic. Yeah, you're getting realistic reflections. Everything. Yeah, like we're not gonna because we're so technical. but yeah, it's groundbreaking. And it's like you said, bro. You can literally put her within seconds. Her background could be like anything.
Right.
You can put her in Coruscant.
That's what I mean.
You can put her on Mustafar.
Right.
You can put her on Tatooine.
Which I'm sure is what they did. Like,
yeah,
they
just like all these different things, and yeah, that's one of like the advantages of having that technology. But also Bo-Katan too. Like I remember Katie Sackhoff filmed her episode like last October.
Oh wow!
Yeah, which was essentially when the Mandalorian was like debuting.
Right,
and was,
right.
Like, in the works. So yeah, they kind of had like a good idea of I guess obviously of where season 2 was or where season 1 was heading into season 2, and season 3 is already announced.
I know, yeah. So they're probably going. But actually, do you remember the picture that Favreau posted of George Lucas holding baby Grogu? Sorry, damn it. Fucking dumb as head. Do you remember the picture that Jon Favreau posted of baby Grogu? And
you said it again.
Did I say it again? Grogu, baby Grogu.
But the thing is, like, you're not even saying Broda.
I know, Broda.
You're saying Groda.
Because I had it in my head that he was calling it Groda, because, you want to grow. All right, so...
Or maybe it's Groda. Who knows? This is the way.
Grogu.
Yeah.
So... Actually, dude, do you remember the picture that Jon Favreau posted? And it was like George Lucas holding baby Grogu.
Come here. Right here.
Get it together.
I should just say fuck it.
Yeah, just fuck it. We'll pick that one up. We'll pick that one up.
Yeah,
For people who don't know, we literally just did like 2 or 3 takes because Nick can't fucking say Grogu.
Grogu.
But the picture when George Lucas is holding baby Grogu, was from this episode.
Yeah, because they said that Rosario Dawson was like standing like right there.
Yeah,
which is pretty awesome.
Can you fucking imagine?
I know.
Oh my god, if I was on that set, I would have been losing my mind.
So crazy.
I would have been going nuts. But yes, this is what I want to say.
Okay, what do you want to say?
We were talking about the forest and the dead trees and the Magistrate. How she's got like a nice little like pond, like little reservoir getaway, couples retreat type of shit going on. This could be me looking way into it. This definitely could. But when you think of the planet, like we said, how it's very dead, it's gray, the trees are dying. You think back to Yoda, how when he exiled himself, he went to Dagobah. Like again, it was like a forest planet, surrounded by life, surrounded by trees, plants, creatures, water. You think of Luke. When he exiled himself, he went to Ahch-To. Another like green planet, strong connection to the Force. Creatures everywhere, the fucking porgs. Pro porg, baby. Love me some fucking
and
porgs.
What are the other creatures that are on there? The
caretakers.
The caretakers. I love the caretakers.
I love the caretakers. Yeah. But it's like that. It's like kind of in a way sort of like finding your way, finding yourself. And when Bo-Katan said that Ahsoka was on this forest moon, this forest planet, I thought that was going to be the case. I thought, she was there to kind of maybe meditate or kind of like sort of in a way like recharge her force battery, so to speak. Obviously, right off the bat, that wasn't the case. I'm like, okay, this was a forest planet, but everything's dead, so I guess I was wrong.
Yeah.
But then, when they had to train baby Grogu, where do they go?
They find a green spot.
They go to the green place.
Yeah, the green place.
The green place of many mothers. That's not nice. But they go to this green place. And it's a stark contrast to pretty much everything we got in regards to the planet. And I think I like to believe that was done on purpose. I like to believe, she was going to, like, in a way, this kind of like holy place that was full of life where he can really kind of connect with the Force. Because when you think about the Force, it's this binds all living creatures, even if it's plants, even if it's worms, whatever. So when I saw that, and you know me, I love nature.
Yeah.
I love I'm like Rey.
I didn't know there was this much green in the whole galaxy.
So when I saw that right away, I'm like, that was done on purpose.
Right.
I think that was definitely done on purpose. And obviously, I could just be looking into it too much. But when you think of Filoni and what appears he is, I think he kind of had that in mind too.
Yeah.
Of like, we're gonna go to like we're gonna make whatever sacred spot that we can from this like dead planet. And
right.
This is like this spot of just life.
Right. Well, I think we're gonna get into like the episodes like influences, and especially the one of the big ones being Akira Kurosawa.
Of course.
But a lot of his films really do use the elements as forms of storytelling. So I think it was definitely done on purpose that they find this one spot of green to do this training scene.
When we're done here, I'll text Dave and I'm like, was that done on purpose?
Was it done on purpose?
I'll see what he says.
Bro, I know you're boys with him.
Yeah, I took a picture with him.
Yeah.
I did.
All right, so let's jump into Act 3 here, and a lot of shit goes down here. So bear with me a little bit, guys. So obviously, Mando and Ahsoka team up, and I do love that line that Mando says to her. He goes,
"I love how you say bear with me, guys." After we just spent like the last 40 minutes just coming over this episode.
Dude, we're not done yet, dude. We're still going. But yeah, he says to her, when you say like a Mandalorian and a Jedi, they'll never see it coming.
Yeah, and I was like,
it's so
like,
awesome.
So much little things that were just like, ugh.
So they basically begin their assault. So Ahsoka breaks into the fortress and she begins her attack, leading all the guards away from the prisoners while Mando sneaks in to free them. Ahsoka takes out all the guards with only Lang left alive as he learns that Mando and Ahsoka are working together. Ahsoka makes her way to the Magistrate while Mando and Lang get into a standoff outside, which is fucking awesome. Ahsoka and the Magistrate get into an epic one-on-one duel with lightsabers versus Beskar, with Ahsoka ultimately defeating the Magistrate and demanding for her to get up the location for Grand Admiral Thrawn, which was a massive name drop. Outside, Lang surrenders but tries to pull a gun on Mando. Lang can't match Mando's speed as Mando gets the draw first and shoots Lang. With the town saved, Ahsoka decides Grogu needs to stay with Mando, and she sets them off to the planet Tython, where an ancient Jedi temple is located. She instructs Mando to place Grogu on the Seeing Stone at the top of the mountain, where he will reach out to the Force in hopes a Jedi might hear his call and come looking for them. Mm-hmm. A lot more. So much more to break down
Who's
here.
going to answer that call, bro?
I don't know, man. Just another question. Mm-hmm. Kind of jumping all the way back, when she begins her attack, again, it's really awesome. You see all the kinds of different skills that she has, just kind of mowing down all these guys. Again, you get the sense of her abilities because, I love how she just runs up and then a second later she's like, what? Fearless. Just fucking jumps right into it.
And Mando says it too. He's like talking about like, oh, she's got HK droid, she's got guard, she's got this one bodyguard. He's like, I don't think your laser swords are enough.
And she has like that smirk.
Yeah, she goes, maybe. Look, I fucking seen Ahsoka take on like 10 stormtroopers like from point blank.
Yeah.
All right, like all of them fire. And yes, I know stormtroopers can't hit the side of a bantha, so I get it. But when he said that, I was like, yeah.
But she gives that face too.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. So I mean, but obviously, you got to think about it. If Mando wasn't there, the prisoners would have died.
Yes.
So it is like, so she does need his help in that sense. In regards to kind of like taking the town over, she could have done that by herself, which she did.
She basically did.
Yeah. So yeah, it was awesome, like you said. We get like more awesome lightsaber action. The way she jumps onto the wall, cuts all the people down. Gives again that smirk to that one guard who like then runs away.
Yes.
He's like, I don't get paid enough.
Yeah,
like,
I don't get paid enough for this shit.
Fuck this, I'm out. And they have the great again cinematography, which is amazing, of how she cuts down the one guard while simultaneously cutting down the alarm,
the bell,
and then like it rolls and it falls. And that to me, right after that, when we see her kind of walking down the town, approaching the Magistrate, it's like you were talking about Kurosawa. That to me was like the very obviously we got Kurosawa throughout.
Yeah.
But that to me, there was a moment where I'm like, that is straight.
Well, this is where we get a lot of homages, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of the images are ripped straight, and it's specifically from this one film that Kurosawa did called Yojimbo, and the basically the story of Yojimbo is very similar to this episode. So it's basically that movie follows a bodyguard who arrives in a small town where competing crime lords vie for supremacy, and the two bosses each try to hire the newcomer as their own bodyguard. So it's very similar to what this episode does, and yeah, like straight up shots from this episode are from that movie, which is awesome to see.
And it's like, oh, like I wonder where
that came from.
Yeah, but yeah, totally agree. And for the people who don't know, Kurosawa was a big influence to Star Wars.
Yes,
George Lucas based a lot of his characters, a lot of the situations in Star Wars of Kurosawa films, and obviously Filoni being the purist and being the like this George Lucas advocator.
Yeah, his protege.
His protege.
Or his Padawan.
His child.
Yeah, his child.
As he called him.
Yes.
Who are you again?
Yeah, it's starting early.
This is one of my kids. This is one of my kids. He didn't start when he was 11, but, you know, he did start when he was very young.
Obviously, there's no surprise that he also kind of translated those elements into his episode. He does go a little bit into, like, episode 5 from last season was called The Gunslinger.
Right.
So like he obviously explored some of his like Western aspects in that episode. But here he did the Western, but also kind of like did more Kurosawa influences, which I thought was really well done. But yeah, we get the great shot when she pulls like the lightsaber out of the lightsaber.
Oh, that's so fucking awesome.
Which is which we also get in Rebels.
Oh, we do. Oh, it's in Rebels.
There's a moment in Rebels when she does that, which is really cool to see. She went into like a Batman detective mode, as I like to call it.
Yes, yeah.
From like the Arkham games, where she's like simultaneously picking off these people one by one. And
we get that fucking cat.
The Loth Cat.
Yeah, the Loth Cat.
Yeah, okay. That's something I wanted to look up. I don't know how far Corvus is from Lothal. Or also the planet from episode 4, Sanctuary. Like, yes. I don't know how far that planet is from Lothal. But like why, like, I don't think like a Loth Cat there doesn't really make sense to me, but why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Like, why not? Like, granted, like maybe. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, like, I feel like it added like this, it has nothing. We see it twice. And we see it twice, and it really doesn't do much for the episode in general, but it just adds like this nice feel to like the town itself. How it just has
but
like
that's
this,
the thing, because
this other life in it.
That harnesses back to more of like a city, like a city lifestyle. When you think of like city alleyways, you got like cats and rats and shit.
Yes,
it's like you're walking down like in Gotham City.
Right.
When you're walking, you hear like the fucking cans clanking.
Exactly.
Like something. So yeah, it was a nice touch. I have nothing against it. But I'm like,
why is this here?
Why is there a fucking Loth Cat in here? But it was fun to see.
Yeah,
it was definitely fun to see. And again, that's Filoni's creations. Like we said, Filoni loves his animals. So go ahead, do you, Dave? We love you. And I was like, yeah, I was all for it. And then harnessing back to the Kurosawa references when we get that standoff between not between Lang and Mando, but when we get like the first like
that first
like
nice,
the bow.
that nice like wide, the bow.
The bow. It's like the okay, I'm ready to fight.
Yes.
You know, like let's get into position, and then we see Ahsoka kind of get into battle formation, so to speak, and we see her foot.
Yep.
Kind of like get into
the foot move, which was a nice touch.
Yeah. Very reminiscent to Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul. Very reminiscent to Qui-Gon's movements. Which we assume were just kind of like passed down.
Right.
So yeah, I was if you guys couldn't tell, I was losing my shit.
Yeah.
The entire episode. I was just screaming. I was like dying inside. I'm like, this is incredible. But yeah, go ahead. You talk. I'll take it. All
right. So the one thing that I also like too, which I thought was a really nice touch, is Michael Biehn has a space shotgun, basically, which is a nice callback to Aliens.
Oh, I didn't know. And he also has like the guard.
Yeah, he's got like the guard.
A little bit
well, actually, I wanted to ask you that too. So I saw some people kind of talking about what he was wearing, and they said that like what he was wearing was very like early Clone Wars like armor, I guess you could say, and that's kind of how he was dressed up.
It looked like it. It looked like almost like stormtrooper like guard armor.
Right.
Because,
so
like,
so it kind of makes you wonder like what where's this guy been, like what has he been through,
and what were his ranks?
Yeah.
Because that's what I did. Because like when you think of like stormtroopers and when they have like certain colors and certain guards like indicate a certain rank. So yeah, there was definitely a lot of intrigue, as I guess you can say, with Michael Bihn's character.
Right. And then that was the thing that I also love too is you get this nice this nice back and forth between the fight that's going on between the Magistrate and Ahsoka, and then this really nice standoff between Mando and Lang. And this is where like obviously like we were talking about this before, how Michael Bihn's line delivery is a little like iffy here and there, but I did love like him constantly talking to Mando and some of the stuff he was saying, like
he's trying to break the tension.
He's trying to break the tension, and he's trying to get Mando to let his guard down a little bit. And I love the line where he's like,
"I got no quarrel with you, Mandalorian.
That's far enough.
You and I were a lot alike. willing to lay our lives down for the right cause. Which this is not.
Yeah. I don't know, like I just love that whole that little bit.
Just the whole like that's far enough.
That's far enough.
Or whatever. Yeah. And the way, again, like we said, there were still some kind of issues in regards to Filoni's directing, because he's still kind of getting experience under his belt. But obviously, there were a lot of moments that were executed very well. And that moment is great, like you said, the way that we're kind of going back and forth between Mando and Lang. The way all we hear is like the wind howling, very Western. Yeah. We hear the clanking in the background of them fighting. Good, it was so well done. Really sets the mood and sets the atmosphere and the environment. And then the way we're kind of in a way kind of zooming in a little closer to Mando, almost like like when you think of like the Western shoot off, like it's like we get the Clint Eastwood cigarette. Yes, it's just his face.
It's very Sergio Leone.
Yeah.
So it's very much
spaghetti westerns.
All the spaghetti westerns, very good, the bad, and the ugly kind of
thing. I can definitely picture him chewing on the end of a cigarette underneath that helmet. But yeah, it was awesome. It was so well done. And then in going juxtaposed to what's going on between the Magistrate and Ahsoka, the wire shots of when they're actually going at it, like we said, they both brought great physicality to it.
Yeah,
I would imagine that might have been a stunt woman. I'm not sure. Regardless,
for Ahsoka, yeah. Maybe for some stuff.
If it was or if it wasn't, whoever was like doing the fight in that kind of like wire shot when we got them between Ahsoka and the Magistrate, it just looks so cool. The way she was kind of like handling dual lightsabers.
Yeah.
Was like I said, it was prequel as fuck. It reminded me of Anakin versus Count Dooku at the end of Clone Wars. Like when we get that sort of like overhead aerial kind of wire shot, and we see Anakin kind of like wielding both the sabers.
Right.
Which is also the worst fucking lightsaber fight.
I know you hate that when they get in the dark and they're literally just
going back and forth. Like this. They're literally just going like this with the fucking sabers, and it's just like sounds and just like it's like closing on their face, and you see like the.
George is like, this looks cool.
Yeah, we'll just go ahead and I'll put it right there. I was like, what is this? Yeah. But yeah, as again, even though it's probably, like I said, the worst lightsaber fight ever. It makes me happy just to like see that, and obviously like it could mean nothing, but that's just kind of like what everyone reacts to shit differently. But me personally, that's how I react. That's how I reacted. I'm like, that was like when Anakin fought fucking Dooku, and it was awesome. So yeah, and then the reveal, the name drop.
Yes,
I got up, and I just did a lap around the house. I got up, I was watching with my brother, and I was like, I'm done. And I just did a fucking lap around the house. And more questions.
More questions. Which we're definitely gonna speculate. I have built-in speculation for this episode for sure. But the one thing going back to like the fight between the Magistrate and Ahsoka, this was where Filoni said it was such a blessing to have Diana Inosanto, to be the person playing the Magistrate, because she just had all this knowledge being a stunt coordinator herself. I'm assuming that she basically coordinated all the fights in this episode. I would assume that she had a big hand in it. So the fact that she was able to kind of, bring that to the table made this episode, I think, that much better. So I think she also gets some credit for this episode being as good as it was.
Right. And like you said, the presence.
Yeah.
The presence she has. And she got defeated, obviously, when you said that you kind of had an idea that it was Thrawn, right?
Yeah, because when you kind of go back to when she kind of gives a little bit of history on Morgan Elsbeth, and she's like, she was part of helping build the Imperial fleet and blah blah blah, and then just knowing Ahsoka and where this might be going. Not that I was like, oh, this is definitely gonna be Thrawn. I had no, but like when she said it, I was just like, this makes sense.
Yeah, because for me, I had no idea that she was gonna drop Thrawn's name.
Yeah,
I was expecting maybe like I was expecting maybe like someone like Force sensitive, like maybe like a Sith, or,
right,
or something along those lines, who is like knowledgeable in what does Count Dooku say?
It is obvious that this contest cannot be decided by our knowledge of the Force, but by our skills with a lightsaber.
There you go.
That's what I thought like it was gonna be, where someone who had like crazy like good skills with a lightsaber,
right?
Like, or maybe like also like a dark force user, kind of like trained her or something like that,
or almost like what is it, the Inquisitors?
Yeah,
like it's like something like
something
that.
like that, right? I was never expecting Thrawn, so when she said that, I just fucking lost my mind. And it kind of cuts off right there.
Yeah,
we got the kind of like the nub, like the people celebrating on
right, yeah,
with like the green.
What's the thing too? So do you think that she's been kept alive?
Yeah, I think I made a joke of how I think it's very Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
When you think of when they defeat Zuko's dad, they kind of put him in this like prison.
Right.
And he goes and he's like, "Where's my mother?"
Yeah.
It's like the same thing. They put him in prison. There's like, "Where's Thrawn?"
Where's Thrawn?
It's like the same shit. So that's kind of I definitely think she's alive because she has knowledge.
Yeah.
She knows shit. So why not kind of keep her alive in case you need more information? And obviously, if she's lying, they'll know.
Yeah.
So they're gonna go back and be like, "You were fucking lying. Tell me. I'm gonna cut off your hand. If
Right.
You don't fucking tell me. Like get dark, right? Don't you?" But yeah, I definitely think she's alive. We get the town celebrating. Obviously, Mando gets a new weapon.
Yep.
Which is awesome.
Yep. He gets the Beskar spear.
Yeah. It's almost like when you're playing a video game and you kind of upgrade your.
Yes.
Like we start off with just like this old
crappy armor.
Yeah,
and
he gets new armor. Then he gets his jetpack. He's got like a fucking like staff, spear, whatever.
Which I mean, like, come on, dude. We know what they're doing. They're basically setting up Mando to duel Moff Gideon.
Fight.
If I had to speculate, he has this spear now. He's gonna fight Moff Gideon.
Yeah, because I can defend against the lightsaber.
Yes.
Right. Which is actually a great point.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Moff Gideon won't gouge his eyes in and crush his skull.
Elia Martel. I killed her children. Then I raped her. Then I smashed her head in like this.
But yes, Mando obviously goes back to the ship. He's like, "Little buddy, it's
dude, you could hear the hurt in his voice too.
Oh, yeah.
That he thinks he's gonna be
he's
leaving
like sitting
him. Yeah.
there, and he's hurting. You know he's sad. And obviously, Mando. I obviously Baby Grogu doesn't stay with Ahsoka Tano. They go off to Tython, but that kind of made me think that we are going to get to that moment where eventually they're going to have to either say goodbye or they're going to be together.
Well, that was my thing, and like when this season started, I was thinking just for whatever, like, how is this possibly going to end? And if it's anything like some of these old westerns or anything like that, like I could see the, and this is not like going to happen anytime soon. I think it's going to happen seasons into it, but like, when it ends, it could be that Mando has this ultimate sacrifice, to save Grogu, and like it ends with him dying, and Grogu is kind of like just off on his own now, and that's how I could see it possibly going. But there's going to be that moment where they're just not going to be together anymore, right? And it's going to be heartbreaking.
Yeah, like
it's going to suck.
Just this little moment here. Now
He's like,
"That's my baby."
Yeah,
no, yeah. That. So I'm like, fuck. I don't know if I'm going to be ready for this.
No.
Well, I haven't been ready for a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
but we'll worry about it when we get there.
Yes,
But yes, obviously they go off to it's like another like Mando's here, like, all right, now you gotta go over here. It's like,
well, that's the thing too. How many people is Mando gonna help out in exchange for something to where they're just gonna tell him to fuck off at the end?
But again, it's like we were saying in episode 1, Mando in a way is also building his legacy.
Yes,
he is now known as the Mandalorian who saved Navarro from Moff Gideon. He saved the townspeople on Mos Pelgo from the Krayt Dragon.
Yep.
He helped this refugee frog lady, go there.
Right.
Remember, Bo-Katan says your bravery will not be forgotten.
Yes.
So obviously Bo-Katan's going to say stories about this new Mandalorian that they discovered on Trask, who helped me, get us shit, help reinforce our battalion.
Mm-hmm.
And now again, this small town that we're under this Magistrate's control, they're going to remember the Mandalorian,
right?
And this Mandalorian in silver Beskar armor that helped free us,
right?
So he continues, like it is kind of it is a little ridiculous that he goes somewhere, he's like, all right, now you got to go over here, now you got to go over here. But it's that he's creating his legacy, he's creating his name, so to speak,
right?
And they're going to hear it throughout the galaxy.
Absolutely. Well, to me, that's also part of the fun of the show. Like, obviously, you can easily poke fun at the formula that the show does follow, but I do like the fact that it seems like every week we're off to a new planet with new creatures, new surroundings, and that's like, I love that. I love that aspect of seeing new worlds and seeing different things like that. So that makes it fun of it. Which also too, we didn't mention this, but when he first gets to the planet, and you see like the forest burnt down, and you see just these really massive creatures in like the background. And I just love that. And for whatever reason, I got Mad Max flashbacks because it reminded me of them being in the green place and seeing those random ass dudes on stilts. I don't know why, but it just reminded me of that.
AT-ATs were, fuck. Am I setting myself up for failure again?
Uh-oh.
AT-ATs where like the way that AT-ATs were modeled after these kind of stilt things.
Oh, really?
From like way back in the day. Yeah. I think they were also influenced by those animals too.
Okay.
But I could be wrong.
Right.
We'll flash the you're wrong or you're right afterwards.
Dude, I wish I could remember the line. What does Dom Mazzetti say? He goes, it might not be true.
Is that true? Could be. I don't know if it's not true, so it must be true.
But yeah, it's back to it. Stay on target. Fuck, what was I talking about? Oh, the AT-ATs. Yeah. So it actually reminded me of a music video of Monsters and Men. It's I swear to God, bro. The creatures, the fucking gray, the tree. I'm gonna show you the music video later, and you're gonna see what I'm talking about. Completely irrelevant. But now back to it. Who's going to answer the Force Skype call? Well, I have a gazillion questions.
Dude, I mean, it could be so many people. I mean, obviously, the most popular thing that's been going around, and we've seen it a lot, is that it's going to be Luke Skywalker, and that they're going to get Sebastian Stan to play Luke Skywalker because, and even Mark Hamill has acknowledged this, Sebastian Stan looks like a young Mark Hamill. It's insane how much he does, and especially like when you see like the fan art of him kind of in it, it's like, fuck, that's Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
So there is that possibility if they want to bring him in. I don't know if they'll actually do it. I don't know if it's too big for the show, if it's one of those things where it's like, you're bringing in this iconic character with a new actor playing him. You're almost setting yourself up for failure if you don't do it right. You know what I mean? Could they do it? Absolutely. Would I be excited for if they did do it? Absolutely.
Yeah,
I would
no
love
way
it.
The sequels ruined some of these characters, in my opinion.
Yeah, they definitely did. I mean, me personally, I like what they did with Luke's character. I don't like what Rise of Skywalker did with Luke's character, but that's a whole other thing to go into. But like, could they do it? Yes. And I think in terms of the timeline, it makes sense because I think that they said at this time, this is when Luke is kind of searching for
younglings.
like younglings, and he's kind of looking for Jedi artifacts and different things like that. So it's possible.
Yeah, because they say at the in Last Jedi that Luke pretty much gathered a bunch of younglings, one of them being Biehn.
Right.
And then he goes and he starts training them too.
Right.
Like he was training a new order of Jedi.
Yes.
That's what Han says in Force Awakens. So it is possible. Ahsoka does say there's not many Jedi left. And here's where I go. Here's where the tinfoil hat comes on.
Yeah.
Well, not tinfoil hat because that's a conspiracy theory, but like questions.
Yes. Yeah. The gears are turning.
Yes. Does this take place before or after the final scene in Rebels?
Hold that question, because I have an answer for you.
Okay.
All right. So here's the answer. We're gonna go back.
Spoiler. We're going.
So
this is spoilers in regards to Rebels.
This is a spoiler alert. So in this Vanity Fair article, Dave Filoni, they asked him this question.
Okay.
Basically asked him like, when does this take place? So in regards to the Rebels epilogue, this is what he said. He basically goes, that's not necessarily chronological. I think the thing that most people will not understand is they want to go in a linear fashion. But I learned as a kid, nothing in Star Wars really works in a linear fashion. You do episodes 4, 5, and 6, then you do 1, 2, 3. So in the vein of history, when you look at the epilogue of Rebels, you don't really know how much time has passed. So it's possible that the story I'm telling in The Mandalorian actually takes place prior to that. Possible. I'm saying it's possible.
Right.
So then he's being a little coy about it.
And now here's where my gears are turning.
Yeah.
Ezra is not a Jedi either. Obviously, like he's very force sensitive. He was being trained by Kanan, but he's not a Jedi either.
We're still in spoilers.
We're still kind of in spoiler alerts. I got myself excited the other night when I was just like laying in bed thinking about it. I was like, oh my god, could this happen? Could this happen? One Jedi that we know about who is still alive at the moment is Quinlan Vos.
Yes.
Now, for the people who don't know Quinlan Vos, he does have a bit of a shady history in regards to like tiptoeing the lines between dark and light. Eventually, his love, I don't want to say too much because I'm already saying too much for the people who like you who are going to watch Clone Wars.
Don't spoil it for me, bro.
Yeah, his love sacrifices himself to save him from a certain someone that you will get to. And that essentially sends him on like the path of light.
Okay.
That kind of brings him back to the light side. Now, the interesting thing about Quinlan Vos is that he has this power of like pre-recognition, where when he can touch something, he can track its like kind of It's
history.
It's history.
Oh.
So he's an expert tracker.
Oh shit.
Yes. So what if when Grogu makes that call, Quinlan Vos answers.
Right.
And then what if they use Quinlan Vos to then track down Ezra or track down Thrawn? Now, we assume that Ezra and Thrawn are together,
right,
but we don't know
for sure. Right.
Right. So what if it's a situation where, again, this is pre-Rebels. If it's pre-Rebels and we don't know where Ezra Thrawn is, like we now have information where Thrawn is, and now we can possibly get information on where Ezra is.
Right.
So.
And at some point, Sabine's got to come in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then that kind of opens the door as to like how we can, because Quinlan Vos he's for the nerds, like he's a known character, and like I said, he has a very great story in regards to like of who he falls in love with, in regards to his kind of gray Jedi matters, how he bounces back and forth. So he has history with Obi-Wan, so like there's a lot behind it. So if we do bring him in, I think that can be a way of where like Sabine obviously has Ezra's shit.
Yeah.
Like, here, touch this.
Right.
And then like let's go find him. And then if they do find him and Thrawn's not there, so now here's the other situation.
Nerd alert. Nerd alert.
If it takes place after the Rebels season, after the Rebels thing, and they went off to find Ezra and Thrawn, then that means they found Ezra, but they didn't find Thrawn.
Right.
That way, therefore, Ahsoka needs information as to where he is. So that's where that comes into play. And then if that's the case, then maybe Ezra can answer the call. He can answer the Force Skype call. So there's a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of exciting possibilities we don't know. But my money is going to be on Quinlan Vos. I think Quinlan Vos is going to answer Baby Grogu's Force call.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, that's the other thing too. Is there's a lot of different things that I feel like the show is setting up. I think one of the things we can assume is you're not going to cast someone like Rosario Dawson for a one-off, and I don't think we're going to see her again the rest of the season. If I had to guess, like I'm just speculating. I think this is the only time we're actually going to get this character on the show for this season. She might come back for the third season, but I think they're basically setting up her own series. Maybe a mini series, kind of like what they're doing with Obi-Wan, where he's going to get Ewan McGregor's coming back, and it's basically just one long Star Wars movie. I think we're going to get the same thing for Ahsoka, and it's probably going to be the continuation of Rebels. If I had to guess,
I was like joking around there. I think season 3 of Mandalorian is going to be like low key season 5
of Rebels,
of Rebels, because like we didn't even really talk about Thrawn. Thrawn is also one of my top 5 Star Wars characters. He's absolutely incredible. I love Thrawn so much. So the fact that we're most likely going to get him at this point.
Oh, absolutely. You don't drop that name without bringing him in.
And I can't wait to see him when we first get him, because I'm picturing him going to be like, I'm picturing some like, kind of like when we get him in the book very early on. He's like from this like kind of like force planet. He's like a survivor. Yeah. So he was kind of like, he had this like long blue hair, like these bright red eyes, like this like worn down clothes. And I'm thinking we're going to get that.
We're going to get
right
that
in the beginning, before he goes in, gets his fresh trim, puts on his white uniform, and all that shit. So I'm super excited to get Thrawn. And
well, dude, you also kind of blew my mind when you told me, first of all, who voices him, which is Mads Mikkelsen's brother, Lars Mikkelsen. And you basically said that he's modeled after the actor, so he could basically just come on and play him.
If you look at the cheekbones and some of the facial structures of Lars Mikkelsen, which is like kind of like right there, like those sort of elements were taken in regards to Thrawn's design. Right. And Lars Mikkelsen's a great actor for the people who watch House of Cards, for the people who watched, what's the other show that he's on, which obviously I haven't watched, but I'm drawing a blank.
Should I do a few moments later?
A few moments later.
And we're back, and it's The Killing. But he's tall. He has this like kind of like sleek, kind of like slim physique. And the thing about Thrawn, that's a core quality about Thrawn, is the voice. We need that voice. Yeah. Like, and I think we need it. I think we have to bring in Lars, because we have to replicate that voice. Thrawn to me is an incredible character. I've always seen Thrawn as a kind of like the James Bond villain of Star Wars. He's very like, when you think of like Raul Silva, or when you think of like how some of these James Bond villains have like a military background,
or Mads Mikkelsen himself, who was also
Mads Mikkelsen. But he was more of a gambler.
He was more of a gambler.
He wasn't. But they have like almost like a military background, and they're incredibly smart.
Right.
They're fucking incredibly smart. Also, what was Jonathan Pryce's name in GoldenEye?
No, he was in Tomorrow Never Dies.
Tomorrow Never Dies,
I don't remember what his character's name was, but same
But he
thing.
was awesome.
He was awesome, and just like you said, really intelligent villain.
Exactly, very intelligent villain, and they're very cultured.
Yes,
in a way, you know, because of just the James Bond character himself, of how he kind of in a way is like a very kind of like cultured, flashy person.
Right.
He's like that too. Like he loves art, he loves history, and he's a fucking badass.
Yeah.
Like he can like hand-to-hand combat. He'll take you out.
Right.
Like, so he's absolutely ruthless, and his voice is very kind of reminiscent of that. It's very cold, it's very stoic, and it's very like fearless. Like he's never scared. He's never scared. He's never shook, because no matter what, he can beat you in brains, in brawn, like in military strategy, because he's a fantastically military strategist. Like he's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
I fucking love Thrawn.
Well, that's also why I really want to see him kind of come into this. That's also why I'm also excited to dig into Rebels, because he seems like he's one of the
I just
guys.
thought of something.
Oh boy.
What if he lays the blueprints for the First Order? Oh my god.
Maybe.
I literally just got like
so maybe he's the architect for the First Order.
I literally felt like 3 sweats just break on my back. What if?
Well, it's possible.
Yeah. What if?
Well, see, and this is what I was saying that this show has the ability to do. I was saying this last week when we were talking about the Siege, how those experiments might be Snoke clones. It's like, obviously the sequels are not looked at in the greatest light, but this show has the ability to really give context to a lot of different things that were brought up in those sequels, and it could possibly enhance them and make them a little bit better, so you get more context behind it.
Right.
Because even things that we don't like, if you get more context and understanding behind it, it might make it better. It's not going to make Rise of Skywalker a good movie. It's just not. It's not going to happen. But it might help you understand some of the things that were going on that we didn't get.
Right.
And I'm cool with that. If they want to really tie this in and have some of these characters directly affect those events, because that's the other thing too, man. Like, I'm watching this, and for whatever reason, like, I thought of this more watching this episode than I did anything else of The Mandalorian. I'm watching this and I'm like, fuck, man. They really did not have the right people involved in the sequels at all. Because I'm watching this, I'm like, you see like Ahsoka and Grogu and Mando and all these different characters. I'm like, man, where the fuck were all these characters in, when the sequels came out?
Not just that, but where was this creative vision?
Right.
Where was that? It was not there, which I guess we'll get into a little bit, but let's see. Do I have anything else to say? I already said my boss, so I guess.
That's the thing too, guys. Like this episode really opened the door to the Star Wars universe more so than any other episode The Mandalorian's done so far. So it's just there's all these
tissue,
all these possibilities, all these questions. So and that's what makes it exciting. And I think like especially for this episode, I really saw the reaction to this episode like after I had seen it, and that's why I texted you right away. I was like, bro, if you haven't watched it yet, do not go on social media, because there's spoilers everywhere. And I was
waiting for my fucking brother to wake up, and I was like, I swear to God, if you don't wake up in the next 20 minutes, I'm watching it without you.
Yeah. But I honestly just felt like the entire Star Wars community was cheering like when this episode dropped, and like it's something that I think I hadn't seen in such a long time, probably not since like when The Force Awakens came out, because like. It's been rough. It's been rough for this franchise. It's been rough for the fan base, and this felt like a massive victory. It felt like Star Wars was back, and you alluded to it before, how saying like so many people now, like a lot of our friends are going back now and they're watching Clone Wars and they're watching Rebels, me included, for like the first time. So yeah, it just felt like a very nice victory lap for this series and for Star Wars in general.
Yeah, and it's just like it's like what we were just talking about just now. It's you have like the right people in charge, and this is something that we've said a gazillion times, and I'm going to keep saying it. I don't care. Feige knows the source material, but he was also a producer on a bunch of films before he launched Iron Man.
Right.
He was a producer on like X-Men. He was a producer on Daredevil,
and some really bad movies
exactly,
too.
Movies that worked and movies that didn't work. He had his he got some good experience and some bad experience in regards to like producing films. So by the time Iron Man came around, he had like a decent sort of like resume under his belt where he kind of knew the filmmaking aspect like of what works, right, and just properly understanding the source material. In this duo between Feige and Favreau, between Filoni and Favreau. Yeah. Well, we do have Feige and Favreau.
We do have Feige and Favreau. Yeah, we do. We have that too.
Favreau's the Godfather. Favreau is like...
It's a lot of Fs.
It's a lot of Fs. But the triple F, Feige, Favreau, and Filoni. But in this duo, in regards to Mandalorian, when you have Favreau and Filoni, Favreau and... Yeah. Oof, okay. Martin, relax. Okay. Whew.
I love the excitement.
Thrawn could...
I know, right?
Okay. Let's try this again. in this creative duo between Favreau and Filoni, you have someone who, besides George Lucas, probably knows the Star Wars mythology better than anyone.
Yes.
In Filoni, that is. However, Filoni doesn't really have much live action experience. Everything that he's done up to this point has been great, but it's all been animation.
Right.
And that does not mean, just because you've excelled in animation does not mean that you're going to excel in live action. That's just mediums. It's been proven in history that not everything translates well over different mediums.
Right.
Favreau, however, is a fan of Star Wars. He does like Star Wars, and he has again and again handled big budget, large scale projects. So when you have someone who has this insane sort of mythology with someone who's also a fan and is willing to collaborate with that person and guide them and tell them, like, look, this is like, help him direct live action, like help him do stuff. And they talk about it. Like in the gallery, Filoni talks about how Favreau helped him from like a directing standpoint when it came to live action, and how at one point he wanted to give up.
Right.
He's like, no, I don't want to do. He's like, it'll be so much easier if I can just draw it. Like, I'll go back to drawing. But Favreau was like, no, like
you need to do this.
You need to do this.
Yeah.
And when you watch how he's grown as a director from episode 1 was like good. I think he took a little bit of.
It was a nice intro.
Right. It was good. It was getting his directing dick wet. It was a nice little putting the tip in.
Yes.
Episode 5 was a bit of like a setback.
Right, and I think episode 5 is considered the weakest of the series.
Right, and that was more of like that. That's where I think that's where I'm talking about in terms of like mediums translating, because that was a live action episode of Rebels or Clone Wars.
Right.
That's exactly what that was, and yeah, it doesn't really properly translate over very well. Like some of the humor, when you think of like the humor from that episode in regards to Pelimoto and her droids compared to episode 1 of this season,
right?
The difference,
yes.
Like, you can tell who is in charge of these characters,
right?
But to go from that episode 5 of last season to this season of episode 5, you can tell the big step that he took forward.
I think he's taken the biggest step forward so far, man.
Step,
because like I'm ready to go on record to say this is the best episode of the series so far.
By far.
And a lot of it is attributed to him. And like you said, like, because he's such a purist, a lot of that bleeds through into this, you know. And obviously you could tell like one of my favorite moments being this great back and forth between having this samurai duel, and then you also have a Western standoff on the opposite side. And it basically is just showing these two massive influences on the franchise as a whole. So Filoni knows all that. So that's why like everything in this episode for the most part just works, because Filoni understands Star Wars and he understands where Star Wars comes from.
And then when you have someone like Favreau who can help you execute that vision properly, execute it in a live action form, it's the perfect blend.
It's a great duo.
When it comes to sequels, they did not have that. They had someone who was a great producer in Kathleen Kennedy. They had someone who understood making movies and who knew how to make these big budget like films that we love.
Right, because, you know, Kathleen Kennedy, she's done a lot of Spielberg movies. She did Indiana Jones and all this other kind of stuff. So she obviously has that large-scale filmmaking experience.
Right, but when it comes to the source material, it's evident. Like, it's so evident that they did not just her, but they did not have the proper people involved. Like,
right.
When you think of when they're doing this new kind of line of books, I believe it's called High Resistance.
Yeah.
Or I believe it's what it's called. There was like a writer's room in like 2017 or 2016 that came together.
I remember seeing the video of that.
Yeah, and they were like, all right, how are we going to plot this story? How are we going to do an outline and introduce new characters? Where the fuck was that for the movies?
I know.
It was clearly not there. They clearly had J.J. Abrams come in, do his thing. Then they had Rian Johnson come in and do his thing. Right. Didn't work, so they reverted back to J.J. Abrams.
Who was just like, I'm going to redo all this.
Yeah, retcon pretty much everything that happened in Last Jedi. And Rise of Skywalker was his sequel to The Force Awakens.
Yes.
If that's what you wanted to tell, fine. That's perfectly fine. But there was no outline. There was nothing saying like, you can do what you want, but hit points A, B, and C. Instead, they did their own thing, and it was a mess.
Yeah.
It was and then you tried to do... Have you noticed? Obviously, it's very early on. It's only 5 episodes in. But the whole force healing shit, that's been like gone.
Oh, it's gone.
It's like in the fucking
rearview
mirror. And there was only like there was only introduced in The Mandalorian so it could lead into the Rise of Skywalker.
I think so too, man.
And that whole notion just creates so much questions.
It does.
Where the fuck was this?
Like where was this at all? Like in the history of Star Wars?
Yeah,
like, this
and
is
like why wasn't it
thing.
spoken about? And it just creates. It's like, again, you have people who were fans of it, obviously, who were fans of Star Wars, but just did not understand source material. And unfortunately, it's very like you're telling me Han Solo got his name from a fucking Imperial Like,
yeah.
No, like, but like, shut it down.
Well, that whole, I think that whole film too, just it suffered from a lot of different things, you know. And I think the worst point being that they reshot 70% of it with a brand new director and just rewrote the movie
that's
from
the problem.
From bottom.
Like they tried to, like, Brian and Ron Howard, who was a safe choice,
right?
And they try to play like fan service, you know. And the same thing happened with Rise of Skywalker. They brought in someone who was safe choice in J.J. Abrams, and it was all just trying to be like fan service, and it just did not. Instead, like you should have literally grown a fucking pair and continued
double down
Last
on it.
Jedi story. That's what you should have done, rather than going back, retconning everything. Like Luke gets a fucking lightsaber in Last Jedi and throws it over his shoulder. Right. I disagree with that 100%. I do not agree with that.
Right.
And then you have in the Rise of Skywalker him holding a Jedi, saying like, "Is that any way to treat a lightsaber?"
Yeah, like a Jedi never treats his lightsaber, like some shit like that.
You have him in the Rise of Skywalker holding a lightsaber, saying like, "That's no way." Like you're literally retconning everything. Yeah. Last Jedi, in a way, did not exist.
Right.
The characters that we were introduced to, Rose Tico, got fucking shelved. In the Rise of Skywalker. Right. She was like non-existent.
Right. And it's regardless of whether or not you liked her character. Right. It's still, it makes it, you know, it's like the same thing. Not that I want to get too off topic, but it's the same thing with Justice League, not really continuing what happened in BVS. You see the seams, and you just know it's just off-putting, and something feels off about it. Like that's like the first time I saw Rise of Skywalker, I'm like, this whole thing feels off. Like it doesn't feel like it's the continuation of anything. Like this feels like it's a completely separate movie from Last Jedi, and even from Force Awakens. Like I do agree with you that you can just jump from Force Awakens to Rise of Skywalker and really not miss anything.
No,
but it still feels like it's a completely different movie from the first two of the sequels.
Right. And that's probably because they didn't have an outline. They didn't really have like a clear story. It's like we said it before, when Tony says it in Ultron, that up there, that's the end game.
Right.
They fucking knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
That was not done on accident.
Right.
That was done on purpose. And unfortunately, you just did not have that people involved for the sequels. For here, you do. And just Mandalorian, in a way, is kind of, like I said, hold my beer.
Yeah.
They are kind of pretty much showing us that their great Star Wars is still out there, and they have the right people involved. And maybe that's why I reached it. Yeah, because I love this community. Right, I really do. And I love going to Celebration. I kind of had this feeling at Celebration when we first saw the Rise of Skywalker trailer, because I was there at Celebration, and we saw it in the room, and everyone was just this feeling.
You felt the energy.
Yeah, I felt the energy. And unfortunately, that energy was killed after The Last Jedi. Right. Because The Last Jedi obviously was not received well. And obviously, again, after Solo. So to get it in that moment was like, I was like, Star Wars is back. Yeah. Like I felt it. Yeah. Obviously, The Last Jedi, the Rise of Skywalker fucking sucked. It was trash. But now Mandalorian's here.
So it's back now.
So it's back again.
It took a little longer, but it's back.
It took a little longer, but it's back again. And and can't stress enough. Kudos to Favreau. Kudos to Filoni.
You were the chosen one.
And I'm so excited for these next 3 episodes.
I know, man.
Because like we said, all the marketing's done.
And we don't know. We have no fucking idea.
We've seen all the marketing for 5. We didn't see anything from 5 in regards to marketing, but we knew what we were going into. Right. Because we knew about Ahsoka.
Right. We knew Filoni was directing it, so we knew what we were getting.
So we figured that we were going to be getting Ahsoka. But now...
dude, I also gotta say too, man, this is probably, I can't think of another show that's done this, where the last couple episodes of the season are coming and you get no previews, no idea what the story is, no idea what it's gonna look like. Like, I don't ever remember there being a TV show that's done this. And it's kind of exciting.
And I don't think we're going to get a Tython next.
No, I don't think Tython's the end.
Actually, something that I wanted to say, I think whoever picks up Baby Grogu's Force Skype call, I think that's going to be the season finale. I think whoever comes into picture, it's going to lead into.
Well, that's the thing. I don't even think we're going to get. We're not even going to. I think he's going to send out the call, and I think maybe we'll see someone hearing it. But I don't know if we're actually going to see that person.
I take back what I said, because if it is Quinlan Vos, I don't think many people know Quinlan Vos. So I don't think it would have that reaction to give you like a proper cliffhanger. Like if it was Luke, if Luke answers and it cuts right there, everyone's going to lose
their fucking mind, bro. That's a cliffhanger.
Yeah, and for the people who don't know Tython, real quick, that is Vader had a very traumatic experience on Tython. Yeah, like Dr. Aphra is another one who kind of like treads tiptoes.
Is this a spoiler alert?
This is the comic.
Oh, it's the comic. Okay, cool.
Is fucking Vader, bro. Yeah, Vader is the. But yeah, Dr. Aphra is an incredible character. We are almost out of time, so I'm trying to like figure this out. But Dr. Aphra is an amazing character. She kind of tiptoes between, like, again, follows her path. Yeah, what she thinks is right. And obviously she disagreed with a lot of like the Imperial attacks.
Mm-hmm.
So she so they go to Tython. She misinforms Vader, says that the rebel base was on Tython. They go there. She traps him in this kind of like the spirit, like confession spirit chamber, where essentially like where he's trapped and all his like regrets and everything, like he's essentially confessing, but so everything's coming back to him, like Padme's death, his failure with Obi-Wan, everything from like everything is.
She's getting hit with all this emotion at one point.
Meanwhile, he's machine,
right?
So Afra's literally like tearing him apart. Because she's like a techie.
Yeah.
So she's like literally tearing him apart.
Jesus.
And it's like, so the fact that we're going to get Mando and Baby Grogu on sacred ground that Vader stepped on.
Right.
Are we going to get like a piece of Vader's like uniform?
I don't know,
a piece
man.
of like Vader, like, oh,
there's a lot.
Wait.
There's a lot.
I cannot wait.
So before we actually like wrap this up, I just want to give a shout out to a couple things in this episode. One, once again, Ludwig Göransson has been crushing it this season, and again, this episode had some fantastic pieces of music.
A lot of flute.
A lot of
Japanese style shit.
The sound design, bro. The sound design was awesome, especially the lightsabers. Like, I like how they kind of changed up the sound of like what you're normally used to hearing for a lightsaber.
The laser swords.
Yeah, the laser swords, exactly. But it was awesome to hear it. You know, just fucking fantastic, especially when it hits Beskar. It's so good. It's so good. And the puppeteering for Grogu, the puppeteering's always been one of the standouts on this show. But for whatever reason, I thought this episode it really stood out to me how fantastic it was. Because even just like when Mando says like the name, like
that's
Grogu,
what it is,
and he gives like that little like that little look,
and he's talking more.
Yeah,
like when he like it's like a gibberish, but it's more like but it's like him saying what?
Yeah,
like we're like, hey, yeah, that's me.
Yeah,
or like remember when he's like, what is that thing? He's like, I keep it for good luck, because it's like gibbering away.
Right,
and he's like, it like draws.
He gets that little look.
Yeah, and it draws Link's attention. He's like, what the fuck is that? And as they're walking away, it's still talking. He's probably like. He's like, what the fuck are we doing? He's like, I'm hungry.
Like,
yeah. Like, come on, like, fucking feed me.
Give me some fish eggs.
Yeah, give me some fish eggs. But yeah, I totally agree. Sound design and Ludwig just keeps fucking crushing it.
So good.
A lot of like flute and like sort of like Japanese influences in this. Incredible.
Yeah,
incredible work.
All right, Nerds Nation. So that was a beefy episode, an absolutely beefy episode.
And there's still so much more I want to say.
There's so much we can go into, but we'll be here for hours.
And obviously people's ADD, like they're like shut it down. We're getting like the white card behind
the wrap it up.
The wrap it up behind the scenes. So we gotta close it down.
But yeah, all right, so Nerds Nation, that does it for us. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. Remember to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube page. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you can see that big, beautiful FN logo. Check back with us next Wednesday, where we will drop our thoughts on Chapter 14. And yeah, man, I guess that's it.
Let us know who you think is going to answer that
who's going to answer the call.
Always there. What was that song? Is that Ashanti or is it J-Lo? Always there when you call. But I'm always on time. That is J-Lo.
Oh, that is J-Lo. Yeah, that's definitely J-Lo. Yeah. Yep.
Is it going to be J-Lo or Ja Rule?
Oh, I don't know.
Who knows?
And then also, who took Baby Yoda?
Who took Baby Yoda?
Grogu.
Baby Grogu. Do you want to see Anakin in the background? Maybe not killing younglings, but maybe slicing
dudes down. Boy. Oh boy.
So many questions.
So many questions. All right, guys. Thank you again, and we will catch you on the next one.
Bye.